Hiya. So it's me again, and welcome back to the series where I struggle to get everything done in Maple in a week. No, that's a joke. Welcome back to the Champion Legion progression. We definitely are struggling a little bit, but slowly but surely we are making our progression. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the progression is coming through dailies, and a lot of my time is being eaten through dailies. I'm thinking that eventually I kind of just pull the plug, at least on the characters that have enough sacred, and focus on getting the characters up that need to be pushed upwards. Because realistically speaking, my Cannoneer and my Marksman are actually very close to hitting 350 sacred, which means that they'll have full damage against Kalos, at least sacred wise, so there might be potential for me to just pass on dailies so that I have more time to farm on the characters that need it. Now, for the time being, I am still doing that. But yeah, for the goals that I have as of right now going forward is mostly just to save for Shining Star, not Shining Star Force, 5, 10, 15, and the Cube Sale. And I think what I'm going to do, because there's still a few weeks until those events come around, I'm pretty much going to try to do a double whammy, where I'm going to try to get both my Bowmaster and my Adele to be ready for C10E by the time those events come around. So specifically after the 5, 10, 15, because of course that's where the majority of the gains are going to be made. The double miracle time is mostly just so that they can actually get drops and drop gear when that time comes as well. And I think it perfectly synchronizes, right? I think if you want to push a character to C10E, you might as well get their drop rate up, because that drop rate actually benefits quite a lot. Especially considering that you're going to be hitting more Twilight marks, potentially more pitched. I mean, clearly we've been seeing it drop, at least the useful ones for all of our characters, so if we can get that sort of treatment to continue for our Bowmaster, we'll be more than happy. I just wanted to do like a little bit of briefing before I get into any of the recaps. So let's actually see what's changed. I'm going to be honest, there's not that much, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. Remember to like, comment, and sub, or I will literally eat your mesos faster than Starforcing does. Alrighty, so to get the ball rolling, or hardly even that if I were to be completely honest with you, we'll start on the Khali. And we're starting off with quite literally no improvements, nothing has changed. I am up 20 sack though because of the event stats. I'm gonna be completely honest, I didn't even realize that you could actually get Sacred Force from this event, which is really interesting. So I've just been putting points into this, and I will keep putting points into this until the end of the event. So yeah, with a little bit of cheating, the Khali's now at 350 sack, but the Khali will be at 350 relatively soon anyways, because Cernium is gonna max in a few weeks, which is really nice and saves a lot of time. And because I don't have to be throwing any symbols into Arcane Force anymore, we're actually getting faster progression on our Shangri-La symbol than what we're normally being able to accomplish. So as you can see, I've got 60, and I think I have another 60 in my bank from Ride or Die, and I've got 264, which means I'm pretty much already more than halfway there to getting this symbol to level 8. Give it another week or two, and this thing will definitely be level 8. As well, which means that this character will actually be 350 sack, which means that I'll have full damage against Kalos. We are slowly waddling our way to 280 still. We got 36% on the bar, just by process of throwing daily XP and Monster Park into this character. Granted, I did miss Monster Park last week. Let's not talk about that. That totally didn't happen. And I'm totally not missing a pet here. You guys didn't see anything. And yeah, quite frankly, there's not really much to talk about on this character, and the further we go into this series, the shorter and shorter the videos are going to get because it's going to become harder and harder to make gains. And that was initially one of my concerns when starting the series is, you know, when all of my characters start approaching endgame and, you know, I'm saving for events or the progression starts to slow down because we only have sack symbols to level up, but what are the videos realistically going to look like? So if you guys have any ideas in terms of what you want to see for the videos, just let me know. If you guys are interested in terms of my daily, weekly routines, or specifically how I boss on a character, please just let me know, because quite frankly, I can just kind of put it somewhere in the middle of a video or make it, you know, a separate video on top of this one where, you know, I can spice up the content a little bit, if you will, but yeah, that's gonna be it for the Khali, so let's move on to the Cannoneer. Shuffling on over to the luckiest fucking character on my account. It seems that this week he's actually gotten kind of unlucky, if I were to be completely honest with you. You'll notice a trend this week in the fact that I've gotten 0 drops. The only thing I've gotten is maybe the odd arcane here and there, which is very pathetic considering that this week there actually was a black mage reset, so we had extra attempts at arcanes and pitched, and we still pretty much got washed. Now the Cannoneer is up a singular arcane spare, but a single arcane spare is still very valuable. The Cannoneer is starting to push full 22. He's almost there. Quite frankly, getting this last star on the pendant and getting the arcanes is all that's left. Once again, I'm ignoring CRAs because Eternals are on the horizon. And yeah, like with 4 spares of each, there's actually a very solid chance that we start racking up 22s. But when I actually attempt this, it's kind of a question mark for now because the next event is going to be spent on the Bowmaster and the Adele. So we'll see how that goes because I'm pretty sure that I pretty much want to zero out on those characters. Spend maybe 50-60 bill a pop to get them all set up. I also just realized that I have a Dominator pendant just sitting here unfiltered, which is kind of concerning. And yeah, like the Cannoneer realistically is doing solid. Like there's nothing to say about him. I will say though, considering the amount of frags that I've invested into him, the fact that at full power he's only similar to the Khali feels kind of weird, if I were to be completely honest, but I went into this knowing full well what would happen. I knew that Cannoneer is not a great class, because I will say the clear time between this character and my Khali and Saren is actually very similar, but this character is over by at least 15 mil combat power, and I think he actually has more frags considering that he has a skill node to 20, which is quite a lot of frags, on top of having barrage to 19 and a handful of frags over here with Exostat also maxed. But yeah. Cannoneer, I'm gonna be honest, like, is probably the only weird character on my account where I kind of want to get rid of Gollix on this character, so I don't even know if I'm going to star this pendant to 22. I might even just ignore it, because an odd source drop or an odd Dreamy Belt drop, and we're probably going to start phasing out our superior Gollix pieces, because we should actually be looking towards making 10 sets on this character, which is a very weird thing to say considering how young this character is. But yeah, that'll be it for the Cannoneer. Let's walk on over to the Marksman. Man of Mark variety has also gone shafted just like all my other characters. Not even an arcane drop on this character when doing everything up to Black Mage is crazy work, by the way. Now the Marksman, even though the marksman is weaker than my other characters, getting Black Mage on this character was still relatively comfy. I think it was sub 25. I think the run was looking like 22 minutes. So, I mean, for where this character is at and how much room I actually have to improve, like this over here, I'm actually quite happy with the result. The marksman, all things considered, feels okay. We did, going back to the topic of drops, we actually did have a chance at a weapon jump 4. We got a black box and it dropped a weapon jump 3. I was very sad. But besides that, marksman kind of in the same boat as the Khali, where it's cheating its 350 sacred, but you can kind of see the thought process that I was going on about at the beginning of the video, where I was thinking about stopping dailies because, quite frankly, especially when I finish a lot of these Cerniums and whatever, I'm gonna be honest, once I hit 350 sacred, I don't even know if I want to be spending all this time doing dailies. Now, getting stat from symbols is nice, but I don't think it's going to be the difference maker in terms of whether I end up getting my normal Kalos clears in the future. So I've kind of been thinking about it. It's in the back of my mind. Now, granted, I still will be doing it for now, but if I end up not doing it because I need more time or I want to pursue other endeavors, then you know exactly why. Because quite frankly, dailies, no joke, are eating up quite literally almost an hour every single day. And when I have only a handful of hours, like between 4 and 6 hours of free time every single day, yeah, spending an entire hour just doing the same dailies is it's a little taxing. I'm not gonna lie, but in terms of the marksman, gear-wise, I'm starting to get more Twilight marks, so I'm actually inclined to tap this Berserk to see what happens to it, just so I can throw out the Twilight marks or hold on to them if all goes wrong. But maybe I end up just going for 22 Twilight mark first and then going for 22 Berserk. Because if it goes, then it's drop gear. If it doesn't go, then... Because quite frankly, this is very easy to replace, if I were to be completely honest. 18 dex and 20 drop. It's not that crazy of a potential. And probably this would probably be my first item on the list of items to try to get 2 lines on. Or maybe one of these event rings, but I digress. Maybe I go for 22 Twilight and then go for Berserk, just to see what happens to this, because quite frankly, like, once again, we're trying to cut down on some inventory space. If this goes and this goes, then we can get rid of this and these. I should also be testing the Guardian Angel ring soon, but it's very tough when I have to think about the Adele and the Bowmaster at the same time. Because let's say, you know, I tap the slime ring and it does boom, then we are looking at upwards of 15 to 20 bill just to get this thing back to, you know, just so that I don't feel the consequences of a sunk cost, if you will. So, yeah. That's kind of like the only thing that I'm really thinking about them on the marksman, is kind of like wiggling my awkward way out of like these handful of 21s if I were to do anything on this character. But for now, I think I might just keep hoarding. I do need to find a way to get rid of inventory, or to get rid of some things in my inventory. I'm thinking maybe I just throw out the arcane weapon and just these peculiar rings that I have sitting around, like my extra roar 4s. Actually, no, the extra roar 4s will stay. I mean, like the totaling, the ultimatum. Just throw out the garbage, like the old Absos and maybe even the black bean marks, or the mountain of sub Galax earring and sub Galax spares that I have. But Yeah, that's definitely the one thing that's bothering me on the marksman is this little accessory situation and the inventory just being way too full. So yeah, let's go on to the dual blade. So the dual blade is, I mean, quite frankly, no different from last week, just like all my other characters, and it got absolutely 0 drops. Once again, I'd just like to remind everybody that the only drops that are useful on this character are pitched items, so we haven't been able to see any of those. In terms of what this character has improved on, is 6 job, and technically my symbols as well. So let's look at the 6 job. We almost have Azura's Anger at 9. And we put another level into Phantom Blow, so we're plus 2 levels here, plus 1 level here. And I actually am up in Arteria level, so let's just put that in. What's the exact number? 444. So we have that, and I'm pretty sure this is not a level, but we are very close. We're also very close to Odium as well. Funny thing is my Shangri-La is actually falling behind because the bonus symbols are going towards the Khali, which is really funny. So the XP is not increasing at the same amount as the Arteria is. But let's just grab the money for this. I'm assuming it's going to be like 600 mil. Because it is Arteria. Yeah, it's even more than that. Holy moly. Alright, guess we'll just sit in an annoying 99 bill. But yeah, since we're here, quick money check. We're at 99 bill, and we still have, I think, 2 weeks worth of weeklies left before the event. So we're going to be looking at a cool 150 bill, at least. By the time the 5, 10, 15 comes around, if I can drop a solid 50 bill on both the Adele and Bowmaster to get them to, let's say, give or take 50 to 60 mil combat power, that'd be pretty nice. But yeah, the dual blade, realistically speaking, is so done with Sacred Force. I might just round out like a few more levels on this character, like maybe get it to like 450, like a level here, and level here. And then I might just stop doing dailies on the dual blade, because quite frankly, it's not the sacred symbols that's holding back this character from doing end Kalos. It's more or less just the gear in terms of getting pitched, my level 4 rings, and leveling up the Hexa Matrix is the thing that's holding this character back. This character has, quite frankly, all the stops, and if I do max out these, well, not necessarily little things, but the other things, then this character will definitely be strong enough. Its H Saren is already going under 20, which is definitely a good sign, because if you compare it to what my Kalos will look like, Kalos has more uptime, and quite frankly, if I'm doing 500 or 450 trill in around 20 minutes, getting that number up to, give or take, like I think it's 1 point something Q, might not be as big of a jump as it seems. But once again, getting the pitched, getting the Roar 4, and getting the Hexa Matrix up is gonna be the deciding factor for this character. So yeah, let's shuffle on over to the Bowmaster. Here we are chilling on the Bowmaster. We're actually up a level thanks to all of the Luxana and advanced EXP coupons. Because quite frankly, I haven't been throwing High Mountain on this character anymore. Because it actually has all of its Hexa unlocked. One thing I did do on this character is I threw a whole bunch of EXP nodes. I picked up all the EXP nodes from Ride or Die, and I used it to max out Guided Arrow, to max out Maple World Goddess Blessing, and to get a solid amount of levels on the bind. Because one thing I was noticing with this character is that its bind was falling behind my bursts, and for Lucid especially, it was getting really, really annoying. So I decided to level up the bind, level up these two, which has definitely made its bossing faster. Another thing that's made this character's bossing faster is this. We actually finished this. And gonna be honest, I forcefully finished it. I just bought the cape. I bit the bullet, 5 bill. I just ripped the band-aid off. Because quite frankly, looking at the Abso cape was just giving me a headache. So I just bought the cape. And I had a bunch of free cubes left over from doing all the Black Mage. So I just cubed this guy up straight to Legendary without having to spend a single dime. Now granted, I did have to roll the potential a little bit, so I spent like 200 mil worth of blue cubes, but to get an item from Epic to Legendary while pretty much spending no meso is definitely a win in my books. The Bowmaster still doesn't have a Twilight Mark after weeks of Lucid and Gloom. Now, granted, Gloom doesn't drop it, but from Lucid especially. And that's thanks to this character not having drop rate, which is part of the reason why I wanted to improve this character's drop rate. And the Adele, when the next events come around, is because, quite frankly, I'm sick of looking at this. I want to fill this slot up so that I can synergize with my Guardian Angel ring, because having 5-set boss set is kind of trash. I'd rather just have 2-set Dawn because it's so much better, and because it's another item that I can actually 17. So when we bought the cape and we did our bosses, is when the game decided that it was gonna fucking troll me as hard as humanly possible, because that's when we actually managed to get all of our arcane drops. But it's not the end of the world, because we can just use it to get spares. So kind of the thought process behind it is that even if I buy the cape, now my bosses are just faster, and if I do get drops, which of course the game does it the moment I buy, we just have spares. Which is nice, so that if I want to be pushing past 17, I have the option of doing so. Because once again, pushing to 19 is relatively safe, and can give me a lot of damage. So that's that. We also have been piling up a bunch of reinforced Golic spares, and soon enough I should be piling up pink bean belts, so that when the next event comes around, I have my belt and my earrings to 20. I don't know what I'm gonna do in terms of a ring situation, because I don't think this character has Meister accessory crafting. And quite frankly, I'm kind of just too lazy to do it, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I probably should start locking this like right now. Same thing with reinforced Golic belts if we get those. Another thing is we have a pat mark on this character. I'm pretty sure I got it this week. And the pat mark, to be honest, I can try it to 22. If this, I will just 22 or bust this item. I'm gonna be completely honest. Either it goes or it doesn't. If it doesn't, then I just keep my black bean mark, which isn't that big of a deal because it's already flamed, and it's got a good potential. But yeah, the Bowmaster is starting to get pretty strong. In its damage presets, it hits around 43 mil. And half of its items are still sitting at 10 or 17, so a lot of room for improvement. I'm sure after the event, if I can get it to 60 to 70 mil, it can pretty much kill every C10 boss in around or under 10 minutes. Stars is realistically just the one thing that this character needs, because it's actually decent frag-wise in terms of what it has unlocked, and it's decent sacred-wise and arcane-wise. Hitting 265 will also just help, especially against Dark now, because then I'm not facing a level disadvantage anymore, and I get an Arcus symbol, which is a lot of free stats. Bare minimum 500, but if I were to get an Arcus symbol, I'm going to probably pump into it using coupons for a little bit until it's like level 3 or level 4, and then I'll just be on my merry way. So yeah, that's it for the Bowmaster. On to the Adele. I'm the frag man, or woman, I guess. Yeah, so the Adele is kind of our focus for right now. Because all of our frags have been going on to the Adele. We've been unlocking all of the masteries. We got Hexa Cleave and Hexa their entire kit. And we're looking to get this. I think I will by the end of today because I still have coins left over from Ride or Die. So I'm going to get 10 frags from that and then 12 frags from the dailies, which will give me Hexa whatever's left. And of course, we're still going to need to do the 5th jobs and the Hexa stat, but yada yada yada, we'll worry about that when the time comes. For now, we're just slowly piling on frags. You guys know what's going on. In terms of Sacred, the Adele has actually gotten to level 5 Cernium, which means that High Mountain on this character is actually very comfortable, and the plus 20 sack from the event is doing God's work on top of that, which is really cool. What isn't cool is this character is mad unlucky. We still haven't hit any extra arcanes. I really want a weapon. If I get a weapon, I think I might just buy the rest of the pieces. But I haven't hit a weapon. This character almost has as much droplets as my Bowmaster. It does have as much droplets as my Bowmaster. Why does this thing not have 5-star arcane yet? I have no idea. But hopefully this week around, we just do what my Bowmaster did after buying pieces and just hit like nobody's business. But yeah. The Adele is starting to get really strong. I am actually able to... I'm sure if I were to play Hard Lotus properly, I can actually clear it in under 10 minutes on this character. Which is really interesting considering that this character's combat power is not even higher than 30 mil yet. But yeah, the arcane weapon is going to be what makes this character, if I were to be completely honest. When I get an arcane weapon, that's when I'm going to start phasing this character into doing the same thing that my Bowmaster is doing, where I'm kind of just soloing everything up to Lucid and Gloom, and then whatever's left, like, if I find the effort to do it, then I will, and if I don't, then I won't. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Adele. And that'll pretty much be it in general. So, we've slowly been pushing everything upwards, and that's kind of the benefit that you get when your main focus is literally just doing as much dailies as possible. But of course, at some point in time, eventually, I'm gonna have to drop the dailies, at least on some characters, so that I can make time to have farming sessions on characters, because I'm racking up an unholy amount of 3x coupons that I need to get rid of. 3x coupons are still useful, and I don't want to be training when I don't have 3x coupons available to me. Because time is of the essence, training when I have 3x coupons is just as important as doing my dailies or everything else, right? Time is limited, and quite frankly, this is, I guess you could say, the main difficulty of the Champion Legion series right now is knowing when, how, and why I should be allocating my time in specific areas. So it's kind of going to be similar, at least for the next few weeks, but maybe after that we might start flip-flopping and trying to see what I can actually make work. Because if I can make something work better or something that is more beneficial, then we'll be doing that instead of just doing dailies. Because quite frankly, I'm kind of losing the motivation for dailies. The past 6 months or so have just been non-stop doing as much dailies as I can potentially handle, or just potentially do in general. For the longest time, I was doing six grandest dailies and a set of arcane dailies on top of that. Before that, it was 6 or 5 grandest dailies, a set of arcane dailies, a monster park. It takes a lot of time. So, time management is going to be, I guess you can say, the new challenge that I'm going to have to overcome going forward. But yeah, not really an eventful week, and it probably won't be for the next 2. But when the 5, 10, 15 come around, and when the double miracle time comes around, we're going to have a pretty big week, and we're going to start posting videos on the Bowmaster soloing and the Adele soloing their respective bosses when they get to see Tenny. So yeah, that'll be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and sub, or I will literally eat your mesos faster than leveling symbols does. I'm going. Much love, and peace out.